is the New York Mets, the Chicago Cubs from Wrigley. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, both are coming up. These are two franchises that at no point early in the year dreamed they'd be in this position. They have heavy payrolls. They are both out of their races for the most part in their own division. The Cubs hope that they have a shot at the wild card, but here we go, and I welcome in my partner, Tim. And Tim, I guess we'll start, and for the purposes of the stand-up, talk about the two starting pitchers. And for the Mets, a real talented young right-hander, Bobby Parnell, gets the ball today.
Yeah, it's been written about and talked about, a litany of injuries for this Met ball club. Their starters, John Maine, Oliver Perez, and Johan Santana out of there. And Bobby Parnell, only his fifth major league start, but he has value, and the Mets found that out last month before the trading deadline.
A guy who had a ton of value last year, Ryan Dempster, he's on the mound for the Chicago Cubs, and somebody that they usually get a solid effort from, especially here at home at Wrigley.
The game can turn on a dime, can it, Joe? I mean, here's Ryan Dempster, an all-star pitcher last year, only 7-7 this year.
So that's it. Off we go, and there has definitely been a lot of frustration for each franchise so far in 2009. But we get set for baseball. Plenty to talk about. Glad you're with us. We'll have the Mets and the Cubs on the other side of the break right here on Fox. Cool, crisp day here at the end of August. And we get set for baseball. I already told you the matchup. It's the Mets and the Cubs, and it is game 2 of this series. These two meeting for the first time this season here this weekend, and it's the latest that they've ever met for the first time in any season. And here they are. Cubs won yesterday, and now the Cubs go to Ryan Dempster here this afternoon. So as you looked at the numbers for Ryan Dempster, who is 7-7, we will give you the Sprint pitcher profile for the Cub right-hander.
Since 2002, Ryan Dempster has pitched against the Mets, but he has pitched in relief. So his last start 6 years ago, He's 18-5 at Wrigley Field, and Joe and I both agree that he does the best Harry Caray impersonation in baseball.
Yeah, I think we talked about him the last time. Right now, it's time for the Budweiser opening pitch. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. We talked about it last time. The Ryan Dempster's a guy who, even on the day he's pitching, is very loose and talking to people in the clubhouse. He likes the interaction and is somebody that's certainly one of the leaders on the Chicago team. Spent some time on the DL this year and fires a strike to get the day started to Angel Pagan.
Yeah, on the days that Ryan pitches, he tries to do an impersonation of Ferguson Jenkins or Greg Maddux, both having their numbers retired on May 3rd of this year.
0-1 pitch skips in there. Home plate umpire today is James Hoy. Crew chief is Jim Reynolds at first, Bill Welke at second, and Mark Carlson is over at third base. And so it's up to James Hoy to see how we're going to move along here this afternoon, what kind of a strike zone we'll have. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. There is certainly plenty to talk about with regard to these two teams. And two teams that spent heavily, have big payrolls, and are toward the bottom looking up as far as games back in their divisions. Here's a check on Ontario, and the shortstop makes the play 1 out. Well, you know, Angel Pagan leads it off, but we'll give you the rest of the lineup for the Mets. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Pagan is followed by Luis Castillo. Daniel Murphy is at first base. Jeff Francoeur is out in right. Corey Sullivan in left. Fernando Tatis, the third baseman, playing in place of the injured David Wright. Brian Schneider. Anderson Hernandez is now at short for the Mets, and Bobby Parnell pitches and bats ninth. Saw that number, the fewest home runs in the league by plenty for the Mets, playing in spacious Citi Field at home. And here's Castillo, who takes a ball.
In fact, the leader of the Mets, here we are, August 29th, the leader of the Mets in home runs, Gary Sheffield, with only 10. That is the fewest home runs that the Mets have ever had at this point in time of the season. Back in 1977, John Milner led the team with 12 home runs.
Here's a 2-0 from Dempster to Castillo, and it's outside. Castillo is a guy at the top of your lineup that won't offer it pitches out of the strike zone. Very patient. Taken 69% of the pitches he has seen this season. That's the most in the big leagues, and he watches 4 sail out of the strike zone and a 1-out walk. Take a look at the Cubs on defense. They're not very good fielding the baseball. 14th in the National League with a team fielding percentage, 84 errors, and we highlight the 3-time Gold Glove Award winner Derek Lee over at first. Ramos Ramirez, you saw on that list, he's at third base, was originally supposed to get the day off. But during batting practice, Jeff Baker took a batted ball off his little finger and could not answer the bell, so no day off for Ramirez. He's back in there and over at third. First pitch strike to Daniel Murphy. And there's Lou Piniella, who turned 66 yesterday, and he said he felt like he's 76 because of the season that the Cubs have gone through here in 09. Murphy went around. That's strike 2.
Well, if he feels 10 years older, you can imagine how much older Jerry Manuel feels. There's a replay of Daniel Murphy. There's Jerry.
And an interesting,
ridiculous year.
And it's really, it led to an interesting conversation we had in the dugout, which I'm sure we'll get into as this game progresses. We can do it now. Check on the runner at first, and Jerry Manuel said because of these injuries and because of the young players we've had to bring up, I have had to be, meaning Jerry Manuel, better and more sharp as a manager and can't miss anything. And it made some sense that he said, you know, we don't have the elite players anymore in our lineup for the most part because of the injuries, and because of that, you know, instead of having Delgado or David Wright right now or Carlos Beltran pop a big home run or come up with one big swing that can cover up some mistakes, we don't have that anymore, and there's less of a margin for error. The count goes to 2-2 on Murphy.
And the one thing Jerry stressing that in situations like this, it's very difficult to reward mediocrity. And again, with guys like Delgado and Reyes and David Wright, who took hitting today earlier in the afternoon.
Here's a shot into center field, a base hit. The Mets have something going with a walk and a single here in the first. Murphy now is hitting 13 of his last 15, and it puts 2 on with 1 out for Jeff Francoeur.
That's what major league managers find themselves doing a lot of times. You may have heard that expression that you never judge a player in the spring or the fall. And major league managers have a tendency occasionally to reward mediocrity in April or September, where you have to be even more vigilant in those 2 months.
With 2 on, here is Francoeur, and a big swing and a miss, strike 1. The month of August for Francoeur, who is, in my opinion, a terrific pickup by Omar Minaya, the embattled GM of the New York Mets. This was, I think, a nice addition to this New York team as he takes a pitch down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. One of the reasons why Minaya and Jerry Manuel and this front office has had to be busy and trying to be creative because of the games missed. Last year, 2008, that group a combined, 9 games? And here in 2009, whether it's Delgado, Beltran, Reyes, Wright, they've been out more than they've been in there. That's a fair ball down into the corner off the bat of Francoeur. Castillo will score easily. They bring Murphy around third. Throw to the plate. Too late. 2-0 New York. So a 2-run double by Jeff Francoeur, who's hit over 300 in his days with the Mets, and he puts New York out in front.
Well, with Jeff Francoeur, you work backwards, and the reason I say that is he has 17 walks and over 400 at bats, so you don't have to throw him a strike to get him out. You play on his inability to know the strike zone, and I agree with you, he's a terrific pickup, but in order to hit for any kind of average in the National League, he's going to have to learn that strike zone, and he's been up for 4 years, and that has not happened yet. But a fastball on the inside corner, and Francoeur puts the Mets on top.
He knew what to do with it. Now the batter is Corey Sullivan. Takes a pitch up and away. Sullivan, another relative newcomer to the lineup, getting a lot of playing time because of injuries and hitting .271. Still has not gone deep. 9 RBIs. Good pitch down and in. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a poor start for Dempster, who, as we mentioned, is 7-7, but since the start of last year, 18 wins here at home. Tied for the most across the big leagues. He's been tough to beat here at Wrigley. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. Sullivan came up July 20th from AAA in Buffalo. Signed as a minor league free agent. We have seen Corey in the big leagues with Colorado, and there are the numbers for Sullivan with runners in scoring position, and that's out of play, off to the left. 2-2. On deck, Tatis. Brian Dempster slows it down a bit. Trying to figure out a way to find the second out here in the first inning, and now the count's full, and Dempster's been a little erratic here in the first inning.
Walked Luis Castillo on 4 pitches after being ahead of Corey Sullivan falling behind. The one guy he was in the strike zone with, as we said, the guy you don't want to be in the strike zone with, that's Jeff Francoeur.
And a strikeout for out number 2.
This pitch not a strike, down out of the strike zone, and Sullivan down for the first strikeout for Ryan Dempster. Of course, most swinging strikes with 2 strikes on balls out of the strike zone.
Here's Tatis getting a chance to play third base. David Wright, we showed you, took batting practice earlier today, and he is eligible to come off the disabled list on Tuesday. Hit in the head by a Matt Cain fastball August 15th. A wide strike on Tatis, who can't believe that was called strike 1. And I don't blame him.
No. That pitch is outside.
Good fastball. That's a little better pitch, more on the corner, and the count's 0-2. The guy that Tatis is replacing, David Wright, if you look at what Tatis has done with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, just 0-53. Wright hitting .324 on the year, 8 home runs, 55 stolen bases, and Tatis didn't like that first pitch, took a strike, and swung in a ball down and away to end the top of the first. 2-0 New York. Cubs bring this. Taco Bell starting lineup. Think outside the bunt. Terrio, Milton, Bradley, and Derek Lee. Aramis Ramirez, Kasuke Fukudome, and Jake Fox, who's a young player that the Wrigley faithful love to watch play. Fontenot, Coy Hill, and Ryan Dempster. The bottom 3. First pitch from Bobby Parnell is in for a strike. There are the numbers for Parnell, much better out of the bullpen. And trying to learn the craft as a starter, but somebody, Tim, as you mentioned, and didn't really have enough time to go into it during our open, that around the trading deadline, if the Mets were interested in making any deals, the conversation started quite a few times with Bobby Parnell.
Well, I'll say, talking to Dan Worthing, the pitching coach, and Dan saying he's got 2 terrific pitches, his 2-seam fastball, his slider, and he has value with other organizations.
He misses wide, and the count 2-2. It's Dan Worthing, the pitching coach, who took over last June when Jerry Manuel took the reins. 2-2 pitch, high and tight, full count. See pretty good zip from this right-hander. Parnell, 6'4", 200 pounds, from Salisbury, North Carolina. 9th round pick back in 05, and Terrio fouls it back. When you think of hitting shortstop swinging the bat, you don't typically think of Ryan Terrio as being one of the best, but Terrio has the 5th highest average among shortstops across the big league since the start of last year, hitting over 300. However, here he strikes out to start the day offensively for Chicago.
One thing with Terrio is when he plays every day, he's not a big man, and he wears down just a little bit. But when he's refreshed, playing 140, 145 games a year, he is a terrific player.
Take a look at the sprint pitcher profile for Bobby Parnell.
Well, we talked about the trade talks, all the other teams saying we want Parnell, and Bobby is getting his feet wet as a starter, only his 5th major league start this year. He did pitch 3 scoreless innings against the Cubs last year and 54 relief appearances this year.
Here is Milton Bradley, who takes a strike after taking a ball, and there's been plenty said and written about Milton Bradley in his comments during the week, talking about feeling hatred from some of the Cubs fans. Overall, his year has not been good. Certainly not what the Cubs wanted when they signed him after he spent last year with the Texas Rangers. 3-year, $30 million contract. He's hitting .262, just 11 home runs, 35 RBIs, made some gaffes out in the outfield. He takes a pitch down and in, 2-2. Guy who's actually, after all that's been said and him feeling quote-unquote hatred from Cubs fans here at Wrigley, he's hit better here at home this year than he has on the road. .317 hitter. And just .208 on the road. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Full count.
I think this week was the culmination and the beginning of the end of Milton Bradley's stay in Chicago. I do not see how Jim Hendry and Lou Piniella can bring Milton Bradley back next year.
The problem is the contract, and what do you do with it?
Right.
Do you eat $20 million?
I think you have to.
Here's a shot into left center field, and Bradley will hold at first with a 1-out single.
And the reason you have to, in my view, is that, of course, this is second guessing, but you don't sign him to begin with. And I think that was a major mistake on Jim Hendry, the general manager's part right now. I know it's easy to say right now, but Milton Bradley has been problematic, and that's an understatement, with 6 teams before joining. I mean, he's been with 7 different major league teams in 9 years. And what was it, as far as Jim Hendry was concerned, to think that Milton Bradley was going to come to the Cubs and be a changed man?
Well, it's basically flunking history.
Yeah.
History told you what you were going to get. Here's a ground ball back to Parnell. A juggle, and what could have been a double play ball ends up just an out at first, and Bradley down to second base. Try to bring in Ken Rosenthal for the continuation of the conversation with Milton Bradley. Kenny, I mean, where are the Cubs, and where do you see this relationship going as maybe you go into 2010?
Joe, if something is going to happen, it would have to happen in the offseason. And you're absolutely right. They would have to assume a good amount of that contract. But while Tim is correct that Jim Hendry made a mistake in signing Bradley, Bradley made a mistake too. He went with an intense manager in an intense market. He could have gone back to Texas for a year, played for Ron Washington, could have gone to Tampa Bay for 2 years, played for Joe Madden, but he chose the Cubs because the Cubs offered the most money.
First pitch of ball to Aramis Ramirez, and the next from Parnell is, wow, it swung on and missed. I guess his shoulder's feeling a little better. A big rip by Aramis Ramirez, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, that's a shoulder is not hurting me swing right there.
That's Zambrano-esque.
Yeah.
That's how he swings the bat. It's easy to say and maybe too simplistic to say it, but the entire Cubs season changed when Ramirez went down in early May. He was off to a great start. You take the cleanup hitter away from this club. Bradley was struggling. Soto's not hitting. Derek Lee has come on certainly here in the second half of the season. But when Aramis Ramirez went down, this was a team that offensively was lost. Checked his swing, did not go around, and the count 2-2.
You can pick things up when regulars go down, but you've got to have very, very strong pitching to do that. And the Cubs pitching was just not strong enough from top to bottom, including their bullpen, when Ramirez went down.
Here's a skied shot into left field, and coming to get it is Corey Sullivan. Glasses on, and that's a good thing for Sullivan and the Mets. Mets got 2, Cubs got zip. 2-0 New York after 1 at Wrigley. By Sprint. Get more done with Nextel Direct Connect, only from the Now Network. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And by the all-new Taurus from Ford, Drive One. Wind is blowing from left to right. There's the spot that was once the home to our pregame show. And Chris Rose, who is wandering the aisles here at Wrigley Field. Ken Rosenthal is field level by the dugouts. We are well equipped to bring you this game between the Mets and the Cubs here. And this Saturday, late August. Here's the 0-1 from Dempster, who gave up the 2 runs in the first inning, and it's strike 2 to Brian Schneider, who has not had a good year any way you look at it. Swinging the bat, hitting only 179. His struggles continue. A strikeout. That's 3 in a row now for Dempster. 1 out in the second. Let's go to Chris Rose for a direct TV game break.
Guys, how about the other Chicago-New York battle today? The White Sox one hit by the combination of Sergio Mitre and Chad Godin. Not exactly Guidry giving it to Gossage. A-Rod with the stop there, getting out Paul Konerko, and then nobody's going to stop A-Rod here. His 23rd of the year, 576th of the year as the Chi-Sox fall 5.5 back in the AL Central. Remember to follow your favorite out-of-market team only on DirecTV. Joe, Tim?
Yeah?
Yeah, you can take it from here. Okay. Oh, wait, here's a bunt attempt, Joe.
By Anderson Hernandez, and a glove flip for the out. What a play by Mike Fontenot. Straight out of the glove, and that's what it took to get the out, and Dempster gives him a hug.
What a play. I mean, not quite the play that we saw earlier in the week from the double play tandem of the Los Angeles Angels and Anaheim. Play from Ibar to Izturis, but a terrific play by Mike Fontenot.
So 2 out, and here is Parnell, the pitcher. Here is that play on Thursday, and it does not get any better than this.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, man.
Parnell takes a ball. The count evens. 1 ball, 1 strike. The numbers for Bobby Parnell: 1 for 4, swinging the bat, making his 5th start. That tells you he hasn't been around very long in those starts to have only 4 at bats. 2 balls and a strike. Dempster trying to settle in, flipping that glove around, finds the strike zone. It's 2-2. Saw that highlight Chris Rose gave you from what's going on at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees start the day 6 games up on Boston in the AL East. Here's a check Ontario, 2 hops. Cornell is gone. The Mets go in order. The Cubs coming up. Pidome, Fox, and Fontenot. 2-0 New York. Body Wash, sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, a great American lager. And they are well represented here at Wrigley Field. I'm being told, Tim, that that's a water spout out in the lake.
That's what it appears. I didn't realize that it could be on a lake. I thought it had to be on an ocean. But, of course, it has to do, I would imagine, with wind currents. And has nothing to do whether it's fresh water or salt water.
There you go. There's a strike.
Sound like Al Roker over here.
You do. Meanwhile, we've got like horse flies or something flying around right in front of our eyes in this booth.
Being attacked.
They're just swarming this upper deck. If Bill Webb, our director, can depict that somehow, then I will know for certain that he is the best in the business. I'm already guessing that he is, but he's not even going to try. Here's ball 3 up high to Fukudome. He'll be followed by Jake Fox and Mike Fontenot. And the next is hit hard and through the right side. A leadoff base hit for Fukudome, who's hit .323 since the All-Star break. He adds to that, and he's on for Jake Fox here in the second.
And these two teams have had such bad years, the Cubs and the Mets, for different reasons. The Mets certainly with all the injuries, but the keys of the game this afternoon have to do with music and not with the two teams on the field, and that's unsettling on August 29th. At the end of the game, do you play Let's Go Mets Go? That was written in 1986, I believe, or Go Cubs Go. And they play Go Cubs Go every time the Cubs win here. And we try to be fair and unbiased, but in my view, Joe, Go Cubs Go is the best song associated with a team in the big leagues. I love that song.
Here's a 1-0 pitch, and A wrinkle on the end of that delivery. Fox out in front of it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Say that with such conviction. I can't even follow it. I'll just go with you.
I love the song.
I like the Meet the Mets song better anyway.
Yeah.
You don't like that?
Better than Let's Go
Kitties,
Let's Go. Oh, Let's Go Mets Go. No.
Here's a pitch high to Fox. 2-1. Our director Bill Webb said, "You guys see all these dragonflies?" He was talking about that. Really? They've lowered themselves down to the field level as Fox takes low. By the end of this ball game, there they are zooming around up here in the upper part of Wrigley Field, the upper deck area. Toward the end of the day, we'll have seagulls swarming this field looking for trash. Hot dog buns, anything, old pretzels. 3-1 pitch. 1 on, nobody out. And a full count. Good zip, a 92-mile-an-hour fastball from Bobby Parnell. There goes Fukudome, and a grounder to third. Tough play to Tatis. Long throw and bounce for the out. Good play. Let's go down to the field and check in with Chris Rose.
Yeah, guys, it's not exactly a midges problem like you guys had in Cleveland a few years ago against the New York Yankees. But this dragonfly issue, there's like 100 of them over the infield. Now, thankfully, it's not really bothering any of the players on the field, but we're going to have to kind of keep our eye on them. So you guys aren't the only ones being bothered by these pests. Continuing dragonfly coverage over on our sister network, Nat Geo.
That was a very Chris Myers type report.
You can continue to watch them over on Nat Geo. I kid because I care. Joe, Tim.
Runner at second, 1 out. Fontenot at the plate. Parnell brings it and a strike. There's one of them. That's what they look like. Fontenot's made a very good defensive play. He's hit only .203 this season with runners on. And that one gets away. Check swing, and over to third is Fukudome.
Nice base running by Fukudome.
They said no swing at the plate. Home plate umpire James Hoy appealed to Carlson. Certainly looked like Fontenot went around, but it's called a ball. And as you said, Fukudome was ready to go.
Running at first contact. Catchers try to kill that ball right in front of them. Very, very good base running by Fukudome.
It's a wild pitch. Runner at third now. Easier RBI chance for Fontenot. It takes hot. 98 on our radar gun as Parnell let that one fly. It's Fontenot now. It's Coy Hill on deck. Trying to do something about this 2-0 Mets lead. And that will do something about this 2-0 Mets lead. It's now 2-1. RBI ground out by Fontenot scores Fukudome. Look ahead to next week. Fox Saturday Baseball. The playoff race heats up. Red Sox are in Chicago to take on the White Sox. Both teams looking to keep pace in their divisions. Giants taking on the Brewers. Where the Giants are in the race in the West into the wild card. Or the Rangers battle the Orioles, and the Rangers are very much alive in the AL wildcard chase. That's all next week. It's presented by Budweiser at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. Here is Coy Hill, ball 1. Kenny Williams, the general manager across town with the White Sox, paid a dear price to get Jake Peavy at the trading deadline. Peavy waiving his no trade clause. Now he is signed for the next few years. I believe signed through 2012.
I think that's right.
So it's not just a move for this year, but when they got him, they were a lot closer to Detroit than they are now. In fact, right now the White Sox are behind the Twins in the AL Central. And that may be a trade that plays out and works to the White Sox advantage after 2009, but it may be too late by the time Peavy's ready to really get after it.
2 huge additions to the White Sox team. Alex Rios, the fine outfielder, obtained from the Toronto Blue Jays. and Jake Peavy, as you said. Those are two big-name guys.
Full count from Parnell. To this point, neither one of them have been any help for what the White Sox are trying to do on the south side. 3-2 pitch to the right side. A few bounces. That's Castillo, and that's the end of the bottom of the second. It's the Cubs now on the board. 2-1 Mets. We go to the third here at Wrigley. Back after this from your local Fox station. Ball presented by Gillette Body Wash, the official body wash of Major League Baseball. Third inning on a beautiful day, partly cloudy. Dragonflies swarming the field, babbling about team fight songs. You name it, it's all here. Here's Angel Pagan leading it off and taking the ball outside. He grounded out his first time up.
Well, these two teams used to be tenacious interdivision rivals back in the middle 80s. Cubs won it back in 1984. Ryan Sandberg, the most valuable player. The great game against the St. Louis Cardinals when Whitey Herzog said Ryan Sandberg's the greatest player he'd ever seen.
2 home runs off Bruce Sutter.
Yeah.
And going after that pitch, trying to punt his way on. That's a strike. As Pagan, it's 1-2.
Cubs trying to go to the first World Series since 1945, back in 1984. They won the first 2 games against the San Diego Padres, then lost the last 3. And the Padres played the Tigers of Detroit in the World Series.
Good tailing fastball from Dempster, 1 away. Strikeout number 4. Here's Chris Rose with a DirecTV game break.
Okay, Joe, we got the Reds and the Dodgers, and that means many, many homers from Manny. His first, though, in 56 at-bats, his 14th of the year. 2-zip. Dodgers leading the Reds. That game also on Fox. Remember to follow your favorite out-of-market team only on DirecTV. Tim, Joe.
And now that game's 4-0. Dodgers on top at Cincinnati, so we'll keep you up to date there. The Dodgers look like we'd be talking about magic numbers at the first week of September for the Dodgers. They only have a 4-game lead over Colorado. Colorado with a 2-game lead over San Francisco. That's up and away. 1 ball, 1 strike on Castillo. Wild card race in the National League. The Cubs are still hanging around. The problem for Chicago is they're chasing 4 teams.
Yeah.
There's the NL West.
Yeah, leapfrog in September is not what you want to do if you're trying to contend.
You have to have a lot of things go right, and it starts with getting on a streak of your own, and that hasn't happened really for the Cubs the last couple of weeks. 2-1 pitch. That's on the inside corner, 2-2. Here's the National League wild card. Colorado leading San Francisco by 2. Atlanta 4.5 with Florida. Chicago 6.5. Houston, they are up the street, 12 out in the NL Central. The Cubs start the day 9 out behind St. Louis, who got another strong outing last night from John Smoltz in a win and a walk-off home run by Albert Pujols over the Washington Nationals.
First pitch of the bottom of the 9th inning. The Cardinals won it 3-2.
Castillo strikes out, and that's 5 strikeouts for Dempster, who would probably like a do-over after the way this game started with a walk, back-to-back hits, including the Francoeur double and 2 runs. It's a 2-1 game. Here's Ken Rosenthal. Kenny.
Well, Joe, there's a lot of jockeying going on right now as the deadline for setting postseason rosters approaches Monday, and the Cubs are in an interesting situation. The Twins have claimed Rich Harden on waivers. Harden has been absolutely dynamite in August, and the Cubs are open to doing this. And the reason is Harden is a free agent. They could re-sign him at the end of the season. They can offer him arbitration and get 2 draft picks in return if he leaves, but they're not necessarily of a mind to do that. So the question becomes, will the Twins make a substantial enough offer? And if you guys remember, earlier in the season, Justin Morneau was outspoken about the need for the Twins to show a commitment to winning to keep Joe Mauer interested. He's a free agent after next year. The Twins have picked up Carl Pavano, Orlando Cabrera. Yesterday they acquired 2 relievers. Harden, though, would be a difference maker.
Here's a line drive off the bat of Murphy into the glove of Fontenot. We go to the bottom of the 3rd at Wrigley. Cubs batting down by 1. New York Mets. Bumps, bruises, bone chips, operations. 19 different players on the disabled list. It's been a frustrating year for New York, no doubt. The first year in a new stadium. Dempster He's up on the count 2-0, and Ryan Dempster is wearing a new helmet that Rawlings has come out with called the S100, which they say, due to independent testing, can absorb a fastball thrown at 100 miles per hour. However, it comes with a big size differential, and we all know the players like style, and if you're talking about how does one look compared to the other, I mean, the one is gigantic. I think it could do without the clock radio and the air conditioner in it, but it certainly gives a lot more padding, and Lou Piniella was playing with it. I'm kind of laughing about it. I mean, it's big, it's tall. It's like Kazoo from the Flintstones. There's a pitch down and away, and a leadoff walk to the pitcher, and that'll frustrate any manager, young pitcher or not. Parnell gives up his first walk of the day.
Well, Joe, we have both types of helmets, the old helmet and the newer helmet up here, and you can see the padding inside the newer helmet. There is no question that it's much more protective than the older model, because there is rubber to cushion the blow, whereas the older model was more or less plastic to the blow. You can see that cushioning in the left, the newer model, much more protective.
It has those extra lining, and it almost looks like a football helmet, the one on the left. However, when you talk about style and you talk about a certain amount of vanity, you look at David Wright, who was hit in the head by that Matt Cain fastball on the 15th of this month. Jeff Francoeur was quoted as saying, "I'm not wearing it." There's strike 3 over the outside corner. Terrio is gone, and it's 1 on, 1 out. Here's David Wright on the 15th of August. Just hard to even watch. It is. As the fastball rode up and in on David Wright, he went down for a while. He says he's feeling okay, even after getting back to baseball-related activity. Hit today in the cage. Francoeur said, "I'm not wearing it. There's got to be a way to have more protected helmet without all that padding. It's brutal." Here's a shot into right center field, and this ball is at the base of the wall off the bat of Milton Bradley. Pitcher Ryan Dempster all the way around from first, and it's a 2-2 game. And that new big helmet didn't slow him down.
No. Milton Bradley with 3 hits yesterday and ties the game for the Cubs. This ball is really smoked. That wind blowing out to right field, as Joe said earlier, this ball hits right at the base of the vine. And Bradley drives in the tying run.
5 for 5 in this series is Milton Bradley. There's Derek Lee, could put the Cubs on top for the first time today. Down and away, ball 1. Derek Lee bounced back to the pitcher his first time up. 1-0 pitch from Parnell. When you talk about the bigger helmets, the problem is the protection and trying to guard against concussions. And there's been so many studies done on the long-term effects of concussions on players that it's become much more in the conversation, not only in baseball, but certainly football. Trying to protect players. Have had a rule change this year in the NFL, and there's a look at the difference in the size between the two helmets. The end of the quote from Francoeur, he said, "We're going to look like a bunch of clowns out there wearing those big helmets, but if it's something that protects your head, seems like it might be worth it to put style aside." Swinging on 3-0 into center field, and back is Pagan. Tagging, going to third is Bradley, and he's there with 2 out.
Joe, my first major league game was back in 1959 against Glenn Hobby here at Wrigley Field. And of course, medicine was not as advanced, obviously, 50 years ago as it is today. But I can remember a lot of the foul tips taken from pitchers like Gibson and Carlton, guys who threw awfully hard, Mike Torres, and balls that I took to the head. And you're dizzy after it happens, after you're popped. And you just think dizziness is like part of your job. You're encouraged to kind of be a dog behind the plate, to be tough and kind of shake it off. But I think of all the times that of the dizzying where you step out, you take the mask off, and there's really no telling how many concussions were received back in those days, and players didn't even know anything about them. And neither did medicine. From umpires and catchers and collisions at home plate.
0-2 is the count on Aramis Ramirez. Go ahead run at third, 2 out here in the third. Bobby Parnell could not get around that leadoff walk to the pitcher. Ryan Dempster, who came around to score on the RBI double by Bradley.
I guess you've had more than one conversation with Troy Aikman, who Troy had what, 7 concussions?
7 or 8 that
7 or 8
recorded, and like you say, I mean, who knows what's a quote-unquote concussion? Could have been many more. Here's a 1-2 pitch, runner at third, 2 out, and that one is down and away. Handled by Schneider in the count 2-2.
Well, I'll say it was handled. Fine play by Brian Schneider. The one thing, you're not anticipating that fastball in the dirt, and that's why it's a lot tougher play. Plus, it's on top of you a lot quicker.
Parnell trying to keep it tied. Runner at third, 2 out, 2-2 pitch. Tap foul. I think in the NFL and really across sports they've done a better job. There was always kind of an inherent conflict of interest on the NFL side when a team doctor, if a star player comes out, gets dinged, well, the team obviously wants the player back in. I think now they're a little smarter about sending players back in after being hit in the head or having their bell rung, quote unquote. Here is a ball down the left field line, and that ball is out of play. Still 2-2 on Aramis Ramirez. Get a baseline test, and then they start asking questions and get a thorough examination before any player is allowed to get back onto the playing field and back into the game in the NFL. And now it's crept into baseball as they try to go to a bigger, more protective helmet. Here's a 2-2. Runner at third, 2 out. And a fly ball well hit into right. Back is Francoeur over his head. Cubs lead on a 2-out RBI double by Aramis Ramirez.
Take a look at the sequence of how Bobby Parnell and Brian Schneider were trying to pitch Aramis Ramirez. Aramis in the hole, 0-2. The slider misses. Good play by Schneider with a count 2-2. Ramirez fights it off. And then he fouls one down the left field line, and this one's in play. Cubs lead.
Good at bat by Aramis Ramirez, and he's given Chicago their first lead of the day, and now the batter is Fukudome, who takes the ball low.
It's always a good at bat when with 2 outs you go from 0-2 to a run producing double.
A 1-0 pitch is down and in, and Schneider's been busy back there in this third inning. 2-0. Jake Fox on deck. Cubs trying to add to a 1-run lead. 2 runs have scored here in the bottom of the third. There's a fastball for a strike. Ken Rosenthal, how is Aramis Ramirez in that left shoulder?
Not great, Joe. He told me yesterday that he still isn't right, won't be right until the end of the season when he can finally get some rest. He said there are some good days and bad days. This must be a good one.
Here's a foul back and out of play. 2-2 now on Fukudome.
Sleep in November.
We are rapidly approaching the end of this season. #127th game of the year for the Cubs here this afternoon. So he's been hot here at home. And as he has extended that streak, the RBI double here in the third inning has put Chicago out in front. 2-2 pitch. Left side with a backhand. Anderson Hernandez is in time at first. No argument by Fukudome. That looked awfully close. The inning is over. The Cubs get 2, lead by 1 after 3. There was a walk to Dempster that got the rally started for the Cubs. Here's Francoeur, who has a 2-run double in this game, takes a strike. Jeff Francoeur is playing with a torn ligament in his left thumb. That's foul. He will need surgery at the end of the year, and he was quoted as saying, "What the heck, I'll get it at the end of the year. All I do in the offseason is watch football, so I'll just rehabilitate it, sit on my couch, get healthy, and come back in 2010 ready to go." But he was not willing to shut it down here in 09. Here's a line drive. He's 2 for 2. And on to start this 4th inning. And we talked to Lou Piniella, and the first question was about things being better when we get a chance to talk to him in the dugout when the Cubs are leading, and that Ramirez, who had the double, is swinging the bat well.
Yeah, he is, and Milton Bradley's been swinging it good. Actually, over the past homestand here, we've hit the ball a little better. At home, we swung the bats much better than on the road.
Lou, we saw you trying that new helmet on. What do you think of it?
I'm telling you, it's taken quite a few hits away from me. It's heavy as heck. I wasn't the fastest guy to first base, but I think that would have slowed me down considerably.
Hey, now Dempster had it on his head, and he scored all the way from first on that double by Bradley. You can't tell me he got slowed down.
Well, remember, he's from Canada now. He's used to wearing the hockey helmet on his head, you know?
I didn't that's a great point.
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, but the Dempster's from Vancouver.
Well, okay, let's talk real quick about, I see you smiling down there.
Yeah.
I know you're, what the heck? You're going to play the string out and see if you guys can get hot.
Yeah, we're going to do the best we can. We can get hot. We can get back in the chase, especially the wild card. It's competitive, but I'll tell you this, the Cardinals have played awfully well. Kudos to them, but we're not giving up. We're going to do the best we can all the way in.
All right, Lou, thanks.
Thanks, fellas.
To follow that conversation before the game, we were in Lou's office talking about the Cardinals, and he said, I'm not so sure they're not the best team in the National League.
That is a surprising comment. But you think about all the additions that the Cardinals have made, not only has impressed everybody in baseball, but certainly Lou Piniella.
There's a walk to Corey Sullivan, 2 on with nobody out, and Fernando Tatis will have a chance to put his team back on top. I think you have to look at the job done by John Mozeliak, the general manager of the Cardinals, and really tip your cap, because they have remade their day-to-day lineup during the course of the season, and for all the inactivity that the Cardinals had going into 2009, they have within this season rebuilt their lineup around Albert Pujols, and they have a 9-game lead. They're 20 games over 500, and these days anybody that they add made a huge difference. And here's a base hit through the left side. Francoeur will hold at third, and the first 3 are on for the Mets here in the 4th inning as Tatis bounces one through the left side. You talk about adding Holiday to a lineup with Mark DeRosa, Julio Lugo, who has been very good since they picked him up for virtually nothing, payroll-wise certainly, from the Boston Red Sox, to play a little short, a little second base, and now even John Smoltz has turned in 2 great starts. John Mozeliak has entered his name onto the list for Executive of the Year with what he's done here in the last month and a half.
Well, she had Holiday. I thought Lugo would help the Cardinals. A change of scenery out of Boston. And I thought John Smoltz would help the Cardinals, too.
And it has certainly played out that way. Here is Dempster getting wild. He's walked one. He's allowed 2 singles. He misses with ball 1 low to Brian Schneider, who was hitting 105 since the All-Star break. Struck out his first time. Chance for him here. At one point, the Mets had 3 catchers. They traded away Ramon Castro to the south side here in Chicago to the White Sox. They've kept Omir Santos, who is starting to kind of take that job over behind home plate. And Dempster can't find the strike zone. And Coy Hill couldn't find the ball until just now, and it's 2-0.
Ryan Dempster all over the place. 2 balls in the dirt. The first 2 pitches to Brian Schneider. Ryan Dempster broke his right big toe. He missed 3.5 weeks. And just from a common sense standpoint, the push off of that right foot has got to be tough for Ryan. Not a guy who will ever make excuses, but came back off the list about 3 weeks ago, and his control has not been what it was before.
And he's sprung a leak here in the 4th inning. He's walked 1, allowed 2 hits. He's 3-0 on Brian Schneider and finds the strike zone. This is a hitter. If you're Ryan Dempster, you look at this at bat here by Schneider, a guy who's really struggling swinging the bat. You've got to make him put the ball in play and make something happen. You have the 8 and 9 hitters to follow, trying to get out of this mess.
And because of this is an ideal hitting situation for Schneider. He knows Dempster has to throw a strike.
And there's a rocket into the right field corner, might empty the bases. 2-run score. Tatis all the way around. They will now bring him to the plate. Throw home is in time and out. Tatis stopped, restarted, and he's the first out of the inning. But the Mets lead it 4-3.
As a base runner rounding third with nobody out, once you stop, don't start again. Boy, if this is not a microscopic view of the Mets season. 2 runners scoring easily, and watch Tatis. Rounding third, held by Razor Shines. He sees the throw going to second, but he had stopped. And the throw home has him by about 8 feet. For the Mets, it's happened time and time and time again, and injuries have nothing to do with plays like this.
That is the 16th time this season the Mets have lost a runner at the plate. Wow. That is a staggering number. 16 times they've lost somebody at the plate. Here is Anderson Hernandez in a foul straight back. Well, the relay throw trickled away out in the middle of the diamond, and Terrio got over to it. And that's when Tatis restarted, and Terrio made a good play, good throw to cut down the runner at the plate. And now a ball up and away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, there are some plays that are, when you make an out at the plate, it's understandable. But with nobody out, this is not understandable, plain and simple.
Hernandez fouls one back. By the way, 16 players lost at the plate. That's 6th most in the majors for the New York Mets. And as you said, I mean, that's judgment, base running. Not everything goes under the heading of, well, we've been really injured this year.
And one of those things that does not go under the heading of being caught at home was when Ryan Church missed third at Dodger Stadium about 3 months ago. And I laugh because it's almost, if you're Jerry Manuel, I mean, you've almost got to offer some levity there. I mean, it has just been a nightmare.
Here's a ground ball right side. What a play by Fontenot. Too late at first, and it's first and third, 1 out, but Fontenot saved the run. Did everything he could. A little double clutch, and it's an infield hit.
That's particularly a good play since it's Tatis out at home plate and the pitcher coming up. Anderson Hernandez sniffing a hit, and he has an acute olfactory sense.
It's saved clearly. Here's a little double clutch, and this cost him the out. But keeping it on the infield kept Schneider at third base, and now the pitcher Parnell is up. On deck is Pagan. See how the Mets want to play this. The Cubs expect the bunt. And after showing it, Parnell pulls back from ball 1. Bobby Parnell 1 for 5, swinging the bat. Playing it straight would be to just drop one down and bunt Anderson Hernandez down to second for Pagan. Not a very good effort there, and that's strike 1.
I don't like a bunt in this situation. I mean, even if it's successful, it's the second out, you move the runner up. I mean, there are ways to score runs other than pushing the trail runner to second base and there being 2 outs after that happens. I just don't think the percentages are good in this situation. So you take a shot, you strike out, you're taking a shot at moving the runner from third home. To me, that should be your emphasis right here. If there's nobody out, it's a different story.
Here's a bunt. Play made by Lee down to second. Hernandez, the tag for the out, and second and third, 2 away for Angel Pagan. Yesterday, the Mets, in their loss, were 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Today, 4 for 6. And what was a 5-2 Cubs win over the Mets. Big swing of the bat was a 3-run shot by Alfonso Soriano, who, according to Lou Piniella, went for an MRI on his left knee. He's scheduled for another one on Monday as they try to determine the extent of the damage in there and what needs to be done. to make him feel better, something he's played with for months. With 2 out, ground ball right side, and an easier play for Fontenot. That's it. Could have been bigger for the Mets. They get 2 runs on 4 hits and a walk. Lead by 1 after 3.5. Jake Fox takes a rip and lines one to Tatis. A diving catch, and Tatis was ready to start at the bottom of the 4th inning. A loud out, 1 down, and we checked in with Jerry Manuel, the Mets manager, and I talked to him during the break about being excited to see Bobby Parnell pitch with the lead again here in the middle innings.
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that get a little bit better command of the strike zone. I think that's been the issue at this point. So if he can do that, it gives us a good chance.
Guy who swung the bat well for you since you got him, and specifically today, is Jeff Francoeur, who's playing hurt. I know he's shown you a lot since you picked him up.
Oh, yeah, he's shown us an awful lot. I mean, he's been a guy that has gone out there daily with been a little banged up, got a torn ligament in his palm, but continues to play and continues to play well.
How you holding up, okay?
I'm doing good, thank you.
All right, thanks for your time. Good luck. It has been a long year for the Mets and for Jerry Manuel specifically, trying to figure out who's available on a daily basis, trying to manage injuries, getting medical reports, sifting through everything that's hit this team. And he just watched Mike Fontenot reach for a base hit to left. It's 1-on, 1 out, and Coy Hill is coming to the plate. It's not just injuries, but it's obviously injuries to the big money elite players that the Mets have on their roster. Second highest payroll coming in at the start of the season. Second to the New York Yankees, and you're talking about names like Beltran, Delgado, John Maine, Oliver Perez just went on, J.J. Putz, Jose Reyes, Johan Santana, David Wright. I mean, that's the New York Mets. That's over the outside corner, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. We check in with Chris Rose. What a story with regard to this guy, Coy Hill.
Yeah, guys, Coy Hill makes his living with a piece of lumber in his hands every day, but it was while working with wood after the 2007 playoffs in an accident that almost cost him his career. He was working with a table saw, and actually severed all 5 fingers on his right hand. As you can see, that is his throwing hand. He doesn't have a problem after getting surgically reattached with throwing the baseball, but he says there's a gap because he can only bend his fingers so far. There's a gap between the bat and his hand, so he has to put extra tape on the barrel of the bat in order to make his hand work. Here's the funny thing. His dad has been a master carpenter for over 30 years, so apparently that gene skipped a generation.
Yeah, and it's amazing to look at that video of his right hand and think that they were able to reattach those fingers, and here's a guy that comes back and is a big league catcher.
Yeah, I can understand how he puts more tape and how he swings the bat with that, because the bat's...
Good play by Murphy. Well turned.
With that bottom hand. What I can't believe is how he throws and how well he throws behind the plate.
Bobby Parnell, a good bottom of the 4th into the 5th at Wrigley. 4-3, New York. On top, 2 runs in the 1st, 2 runs in the 4th. Luis Castillo, who comes in hitting .312, 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored, takes a strike. It'll be Castillo, Daniel Murphy, and Jeff Francoeur is 2 for 2. That is up and in, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets are 17 and a half out behind Philadelphia in the NL East. Record at 58 and 71. And the Mets have lost 13 of the last 18 these two teams have played here at Wrigley since 2003. That's strike 3 over the outside corner, and the 6th strikeout for Ryan Dempster. Ken Rosenthal, Ryan Dempster has had an emotional year and a tough year off the field here in 09.
He has, Joe. His daughter Riley, born April 1st, she suffers from DeGeorge syndrome, and that's a rare congenital disease that affects her secretions and her swallowing. She underwent surgery in May, and she recently had a procedure that enables her to cry and giggle more audibly than before. Now, no parent wants to hear their child cry, but in Riley's case, and for Dempster and his wife Jenny, this is a sign of progress. Dempster says she is doing better, and he calls her a strong little girl.
Life intervenes, does it not?
It does. For the 32-year-old Ryan Dempster, an all-star a year ago, on the disabled list this season, dealing with that away from the park. Comes into this game with a .500 record and one of just 3 active pitchers in the big leagues to have 75 or more saves and 75 or more wins as a starting pitcher. Probably know the other two, Derek Lowe with the Boston Red Sox, now with the Atlanta Braves, and John Smoltz.
Derek Lowe going for the Atlanta Braves tonight against Cliff Lee. How about Cliff Lee in that story?
Unhittable. There's a strike over the inside corner, 2-2. He's 5-0 with a 0.68 ERA since joining the Phillies from the Indians. Indians probably thinking, well, if you pitched like that when we had you, we wouldn't have needed to dump you. The Indians fell out of it quick in the AL Central. There are the numbers for Cliff Lee.
Yeah, of course, Cliff last year, the American League Cy Young Award winner.
It's just further indication, Tim, that the American League, as far as being a pitcher, it's tougher to navigate through the American League, far tougher than the National League.
No question about it.
Whether you talk about Smoltz now, Cliff Lee, CC Sabathia last year, unhittable when he came to the Brewers. 2 out, nobody on, and Frank Coor coming up. Frank Coor is 2 for 2. Today's Gillette trivia question: the only player to win a home run title with both the Mets and the Cubs. I think I finally know an answer to one of our questions.
All right.
But I'll let it sit out there. You're looking at me like you don't.
I'm looking at you. We've been together 14 years. You know those looks are genuine. I do not know the answer.
And I think in those 14 years, I don't think I've ever really known the answer to any of those questions. I'm not certain. Here's strike 2 on Frank Coor, who has doubled home 2, singled and scored. 80 pitches for Dempster, trying to get through the 5th. 0-2 pitch is grounded foul outside third.
We talked about the futility of the Mets as far as home runs are concerned. Do you know who holds the major league record for fewest home runs by a team? The Houston Astros hit 49 in 1979. Think about how few 49 home runs as a team.
100. Here's a foul off to the right. That's going to stay in play. Cliff Lee, this is a Mets team that's hit 76 as a group, just to give you perspective. The 79 Astros weren't hitting home runs. We haven't had one today. 4-3 Mets after 4. powerful clean without dry skin. Bottom of the 5th inning, Cubs coming up, and there is Ryan Dempster wearing that new helmet from Rawlings. And taking the ball down and in. There's a strike from Parnell, turning in one of his better starts. As a starter, 1-3 record, 8.82 ERA in 4 tries. Trying to get through the 5th here today, leading by a run and missing with ball 2.
Talking about trying to get through the 5th, the Los Angeles Dodgers trying to get through the 3rd, and the Reds coming back to tie that game with 4, a 4 spot in the bottom of the 3rd.
Dempster grounds to short, and the play at first made by Anderson Hernandez, 1 out. Play that ended the last half inning. Look at our own Chris Rose, not only right there, but talking to Derek Lee as he makes the catch.
Guys, I figured, you know, I'm in the wrong ballpark if I want to start putting my hands into play.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a smart play here.
No.
Yeah. I'll say hi to D. Lee. He didn't, of course, didn't say hi back.
I was going to say, I mean, he didn't even acknowledge the
No. I thought maybe it was one of our producers. Totally ignored me.
1 out, nobody on, and back to the top of the order. Terrio with Bradley to follow, and Ryan Terrio takes the ball. The 1-0 pitch from Parnell is down and away, 2-0. And ball 3. Parnell has walked only the 1. That was Dempster. Leading off the 3rd inning, he has struck out 2 and allowed 5 Chicago hits. Strike 1. He's up to 83 pitches. Line drive, base hit. Terrio on for the first time today. Gillette trivia question: the only player to win a home run title with both the Mets and the Cubs got to be Kingman, doesn't it? Dave Kingman, the 79 Cubs, the 82 Mets.
I had a brain cramp. I could not think of Dave Kingman. Know what happened? Kong can hit him as far as anybody.
Here's Bradley. Dave Kingman hit 48 home runs in 1979. And how many did the Houston Astros hit in 1979?
49.
So he almost got him by himself.
Yeah, he hit 1 fewer home runs than the Houston Astros team that year.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Bradley has singled, doubled, driven in a run, scored a run, takes a strike.
Interesting thing about that Houston team was the next year they won the division, the Western Division in the National League, and played one of the great National League Championship Series ever against the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies won it in 5 and then beat Kansas City in the World Series for their first World Series. First World Series win.
Bradley didn't like that call, hops out of there, gets back in with a 1-2 count. And off the fists, out of play. Back edge of the batter's box, set up at a ball and 2 strikes. No action in the bullpen for either side. And Bradley's hitting rockets in this series. Mets haven't retired him yet. And it's 2 on with 1 out for Derek Lee.
This pitch low and away. Well, actually wasn't away as much as I thought. Get down, Bobby Parnell. Woo.
Let's see if that gets action going for the Mets in their pen. A lot of guys just stood up down there, but nobody's starting to throw. 2 on, 1 out. Derek Lee for Chicago. Takes a ball blocked by Schneider. And if you're the Mets and you want to see what Parnell can do, and you need to know what you have going into 2010, why not see if he can get out of trouble here in the 5th inning?
That is certainly a valid point.
Oh, 1-0. 2-0.
We've talked about it before. There are a lot of young pitchers that are novices coming up, and you don't know whether they can get out of jams or not because of pitch counts in the minor leagues. A lot of times if they get up to 85, 90 pitches, the bases are loaded and 1 out, and they have to be taken out of the game, and you're not sure whether they can get out of a jam or not. Well, that's probably what's going through Dan Warthen and Jerry Manuel's minds, I would think. At least one of them right now. Takahashi gets up and throws.
Well, Parnell got the lead man Dempster, gave up a hit to Terrio. Line drive base hit up the middle by Bradley. And in a bad spot with Derek Lee, 2-0. Derek Lee will take a hack, and he took such a hack he lost the bat.
That's a manly hack right there.
You can't swing any harder.
You know, I have never understood guys who release the bat. I've just never understood it. Derek Lee right here. I don't think in 20 years I know I didn't. I never swung at a ball and released the bat. And I've talked to hitters about that, and there are a lot of them that don't understand it either.
There's ball 3 down and away, 3-1.
And particularly with the pine tar and the rosin and all the things that you can use right now. I don't think, come to think of it, that Derek Lee is, that I've ever seen Derek Lee do that.
Chance to rip something here with a count of 3-1. 2 on, 1 out, and it's foul, full count. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. Three-two pitch, and Lee stays up there. These two teams have traded the lead a couple of times in this game. And the shadows creeping out toward the outfield. The sun's setting behind the ballpark.
That could very well be the reason Lou Piniella didn't send the runners, because it's tougher to see now than it was in the first few innings.
And out of the sunlight into the darkness, and a 3-2 pitch. Another foul. Derek Lee, since the 1st of June, 3rd most RBIs across baseball. And the shadows and the sunlight, not just a problem for somebody trying to hit these pitches, but even fans trying to see the action. 3-2 pitch. Yet again from Bobby Parnell. And a pop-up right side. Daniel Murphy in foul ground in the bullpen makes the catch, lunging for it. 2 out. And Lee missed a chance there.
Kind of interesting to see the first base umpire going up with a hand, that means the infield fly rule was in effect if the ball was fair, but the ball was foul, so it nullifies that. Steve Horn, our information director, just handed me a note saying that at 1962 was the expansion era, and the Astros 49 home runs, a record for the fewest since the expansion era. The record for the fewest home runs in 1908, the White Sox hit 3 all year.
I guess that was the dead ball era.
I think so. Yes.
That was
very
a particularly good year, by the way, on this side of town.
Yeah, that's right.
2 on with 2 out now for Ramos Ramirez, and a little flare into right. That's a base hit. Here comes Terrio. Throw by Francoeur. Good throw, but too late. Tie game.
You know, the catcher cannot tell whether the base runner touches home plate or not. He has to rely on the pitcher because the pitcher's backing up the play and the catcher's looking to tag the runner. So did Terrio touch home plate? The answer is yes, says James Hoy, with his left hand. Well done by Terrio. You can see Parnell pointing to Terrio, but home plate umpire James Hoy says,
So Dan Worthen jogs out. Here's another look. And Terrio clearly got that left hand on the plate. Parnell came close. He battled back and got Derek Lee on the foul out. Ramos Ramirez with a base hit to right to tie this game, and Parnell will try and finish this 5th. Please join Major League Baseball and the people all-stars among us in your community by signing up to volunteer at MLBGoBeyond.com. Fukudome has a chance to put Chicago back on top. Kosuke has singled and scored and grounded out. Ramos Ramirez, a late addition to the lineup for the Cubs. Jeff Baker was hit on the hand during batting practice, is 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. 2 2-out RBI hits. Fukudome takes a strike. Meeting on the mound as Schneider goes out to talk. Dodgers have regained the lead, 5-4. We're in the middle innings in Cincinnati.
If you ever go to a major league ball game and you see meetings on the mound, usually that means runs have been scored against your pitcher. That's more than a rule of thumb.
It's happened twice in this inning. 1 run on the board, a tie game, and a chance for more. Fukudome in the hole, 0-2. Kosuke was an all-star last year for the National League, and then after the all-star game just fell apart swinging the bat. Different story this year. Been very good since the all-star break. Hitting .323. Waits for the 0-2. Outside. The Cubs in general, right after the All-Star break, through the 4th of August, 14-5 record, and that was the best in the National League. But since then, 7-14, and that's the worst record in the National League. And they've fallen 9 games out. Fukudome takes inside 2-2. Low. Full count. Beautiful day to be outside, enjoying nature, being at Wrigley Field in this gem sitting here in Chicago, and we've seen plenty of action. 3-2 pitch. Fukudome fouls it back. should be the last hurdle for Parnell. Even if he gets out of this inning, probably be finished for the day. This has been an effort. Now trying to keep it 4-4. Been a long bottom of the 5th. And it will continue. Sixth inning, the Mets will have Sullivan, Tatis, and Schneider. Another 3-2, that's high, and that'll load him up, and we'll see if Parnell will get a chance to finish this inning.
I would think so, because the only guy you have warming up is the left-hander, Takahashi, and you don't want him facing Jake Fox. I'll tell you the one thing about Jake Fox, he can hit.
Well, he was called up to the big league level because of the way he swings the bat, and they're trying to find a place for him to play on a National League team and get him 4 at-bats a game. He backed Ryan Dempster in Dempster's last start in L.A. last Sunday in a 3-1 win with 4 hits. He's out in front here with that pitch. Strike 1. There it is. Bradley, Aramis Ramirez, Fukudome, Fox, and Parnell. 2 walks to go with the 2 strikeouts for Bobby Parnell. 0-1 pitch. Fooled him twice. 0-2.
2 sliders and good ones.
And now a shot to left center field. Grand slam. Jake Fox. The Mets wanted to see if young Bobby Parnell in his 5th start could get out of trouble and get through the 5th. As it turns out, the answer was a loud no. 8-4 Chicago. Jake Fox just gave this packed house a thrill at Wrigley Field by riding one through the wind and into the bleachers in left center field to make it 8-4 Cubs. The numbers for Takahashi up and in, ball one.
Tell you, those 3 sliders from Bobby Parnell shows you why a slider is a good pitch and why more home runs, in my view, are hit off hanging sliders than any other pitch. Everything you hear pitchers talk about the tilt of the ball, it means when they get on top of the ball, the slider goes down. But when they get underneath the ball, the slider becomes that cement mixer that is so
no hit by the pitch.
That is so popular with players now. And we're going to show you the good sliders. Good slider that went down. That one went down. Here's a cement mixer. Slider, slider, hanger.
And you're right, he can hit. Jake Fox, and they're going to have to find a way to get him in the lineup. I think one thing that I thought it was a valid argument, and it was made really in the press here. The questions that were asked of Lou Piniella at this point in the season, get some of the younger players in the lineup more regularly. Whether you're paying Soriano and he's got a bad left knee, or Bradley was struggling before, he's been red hot in this series against the Mets. The fans here want to see Sam Fold, and they want to see Jake Fox, and they want to see some of the younger players just to give this team a little jolt of energy as they try and somehow get back into the race, either in the wild card or in the NL Central. And Jake Fox has the biggest swing of the day here this afternoon as Corey Hill fouls it away, still 0-2.
What a thrill for that young man out of the University of Michigan. First Grand Slam home run of his career. I don't think it's going to be the last, either.
And what was a pretty decent outing for Parnell unraveled with one swing. Trying to fight his way through 5, and in the process gave up the Grand Slam. And so in the end, the numbers are no good. 4 2/3. 8 runs all earned on 9 hits.
I'm reminded, Joe, that a lot of baseball people talk about how hitters are impatient. They can't wait for a strike. Pitchers are impatient too. They can't throw a ball when they have to. A ball out of the strike zone.
Here is one down the left field line, curling into the corner. This ball is fair. Bouncing around. Another run will score. Fontenot as Corey Hill has a 2-out RBI double.
Down the line, and that wind pushing that ball fair. That ball would have been foul on normal days here at Wrigley Field, but because that wind's blowing from left to right, Fontenot scores the 9th run of the game for the Cubs.
Would have been really interesting had that fan been able to get a piece of that ball down the left field line, what the call would have been by the third base umpire looking down the line. And Dempster, who gets his second at bat here in this 5th inning, this fan came really close to interfering with a ball that was fair. Reaching out into the quote-unquote playing field as the pitch is down in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's a very good point, because you don't know whether Mark Carlson, the third base umpire, who was well out there, whether he's got to make the call as to whether the left fielder is going to get to the ball in time,
or whether it was going to stay fair, or whether it was just close to everything. Close to that glove, it was close to the line, close to leaving the park, close to being a foul ball, and in the end it's a 2-out RBI double.
Close to thoughts of Steve Bartman.
Oh yeah. 1-2 pitch, a little flare on the infield, and Castillo hauls it in. Jake Fox. Bang. High five. By Gillette Body Wash, sponsored by DirecTV. Follow your favorite team no matter where you live with NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. By Miller High Life, good, honest beer at a tasty price. And by Cataway. Sixth inning now at Wrigley Field, and Ryan Dempster, who is thrilled he got a chance to bat 2 times in the bottom of the 5th inning, made 2 outs, couldn't care less. Now leads 9-4. Mets had a 1-run lead going into the bottom of the 5th inning, and the hometowners came up with 5. Tatis will follow, Corey Sullivan, then Brian Schneider. And that's ball 2. Bullpen for the moment is quiet for both the Cubs and the Mets. Popped up. Left side, Terrier in the sunshine makes the catch, 1 out. Hyundai in-game box score for the Mets as we introduce the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Francoeur has had a nice day, 2 for 3. Hits for Tatis, Schneider, Anderson, Hernandez. Here's Tatis, who is 1 for 2. And now a strike, 1-1.
Saw Omar Minaya before the game, and Omar Minaya signed Fernando Tatis with the Texas Rangers 15 years ago. Guy made for New York, Lance Broadway. Warming for the Mets.
Pitcher that New York got when they traded Ramon Castro to the Chicago White Sox, and when Oliver Perez went down for surgery on his knee, they called up Broadway, and he starts to loosen. 2 balls and a strike on Tatis.
In this town, they do things they don't do on Broadway.
I saw a man who danced with his wife. Having the time of their lives. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the outside corner with 1 out, nobody on. On 2-2. Tatis reaching for it. Grounds to third. Good hands by Aramis Ramirez. Bad throw, but out. Down for a DirecTV game break. Here's Chris Rose.
All right, Joe, back to the Queen City. The Dodgers blew a 4-0 lead, tied at 4, but net innings. That would be Rafael Furcal going the same way that Manny did with his homer back in the first. His 7th of the year, and the Dodgers lead the Reds 5-4. They extend their lead to 4.5 in the NL West. Remember to follow your favorite out-of-market team? Only on DirecTV. Joe.
That ball got out of the park.
I was thinking the same thing. I can't believe he hit the ball out that far the other way.
I think that the fences in Williamsport are further.
Here's a strike over the inside part to Schneider. 1 ball, 1 strike. Schneider has a 2-run double, 1 for 2. Schneider taps it foul, 2-2. Dempster trying to have a 1-2-3 inning after his teammates got him 5 in the bottom of the 5th. Ground ball, and that ball comes up. And Schneider is on. It's a base hit, bad hop. It's a 6-run bottom of the 5th inning, and it's a 5-run lead. And here's a ball that took that last bounce, maybe on that lip.
I was thinking perhaps the lip. I think it did hit the lip and bounces over the glove of Fontenot.
So a 2-out hit for Schneider. And it's a ball from Dempster to Anderson Hernandez. Jeremy Reed has come into the on-deck circle. Broadway continues to loosen in the bullpen for the Mets. There's a foul out of play. Get a nice note and a wish for luck for Cliff Chamberlain, who's about to take his acting career up to New York and star the Music Box Theater. Working here locally in theater in Chicago, so good luck. Watching at home with family and friends and rooting on his Cubs, who lead it 9-4 here in the top of the 6th. There's a strike to Hernandez, strike 2. There's Reed. A 1-2 pitch. High. 2-2. Cubs in the bottom of the 6th inning will have the top of their lineup. And that's the group that got it going for Chicago in the bottom of the 5th. 2-2 pitch. Foul away.
Kidding about Broadway and stuff like that. And everybody knows that here in Chicago, Second City, one of the great improv places in the country, in the world, really. And Ryan Dempster last year with a chance to perform there and didn't do it. I mean, he is a very, very talented guy.
2-2 pitch and a line drive base hit to right. So now the Mets with 2 outs make some noise. And the batter will be Jeremy Reed, who will hit for Takahashi, who went 1/3 of an inning and allowed a run on 1 hit and hit a batter. And Aaron Heilman, the former New York Met. And another player who was reportedly claimed on waivers getting loose for the Cubs down the left field line. Two on, 2 out. Reed could make this really interesting as he takes a strike. That skips in. The runners advance to 2nd and 3rd as that ball hit the bricks behind Coy Hill, and now a base hit. Could dig into the lead and score 2 runs for the Mets.
Strange things can happen with the wind blowing out at Wrigley Field. I played in a game here in 1976 with the Philadelphia Phillies where we trailed 13-2 with 1 out and nobody on in the 6th inning. Won the game 18-16. Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs. First home run against Rick Russell, the last home run against his brother Paul in the 10th inning to win it.
Here's strike 2 on Reed. And the wind has really picked up as we've gone through this game. On 1 and 2, Reed strikes out. Mets get 2 hits, leave 2, is stranded 5. We go in the bottom of the 6th inning on a beautiful, cool, windy day at Wrigley. 9-4 Chicago. the second in a row this series, and we give you our Flomax replay, and it involves Tatis. And we highlight Razor Shines, the third base coach, stopping him. Tatis sees the ball trickle away a bit, and then Terrio threw to the plate, and you blow up the replay and see that Tatis was indeed out at home on the throw by Terrio, and that was back in the fourth inning. Took some of the steam out of what was a 2-run frame. It could have been much bigger, and now the Cubs lead by 5 as a strike is into Terrio from Lance Broadway. And a ground ball base hit through the left side. And Terrio's 2 for his last 2 and 2 for 4 on the day. Broadway, a 26, just turned 26-year-old right-hander, 6'3", 195, and was picked up from the White Sox in exchange for Ramon Castro at the end of May, making his National League debut here this afternoon.
Lance 0-1 in 8 games with the South Siders.
Here is Milton Bradley, who has been unretirable in this series between the Mets and the Cubs. He's 3 for 3 today, had a good day yesterday, and takes outside 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1. Out in front of that pitch was Bradley, strike 2.
Ball had a little screwball movement to it. A straight change from Broadway.
A lot of work has been done by Bradley to get his timing better from this side of the plate. He's swung it well today, and now he goes down looking. Good fastball that jumped over the inside corner, 1 on, 1 out. Our Hyundai in-game box score for the Cubs. See the big day for Bradley. 3 hits, 2 hits for Aramis Ramirez, a pair of 2-out RBI hits. And then the big one is Jake Fox, the grand slam that he hit last inning to make it 8-4. It's now 9-4. Here's Derek Lee, and there is ball 1. Check on the runner at first. Well, a lot of headlines and a lot of articles in the New York papers today regarding a book called Too Good to Be True about the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, as Derek Lee swings through one and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. And in part of it, Aaron Arvidland, who's trying to sell a book, made the statement that, you can quote me, it's a matter of when Fred Wilpon will have to sell the team. And it could be as soon as next year. He's the owner of the New York Mets, and it has been reported that the Wilpon family has lost as much as $700 million because of the actions of Bernie Madoff. Wilpon and the family have guarded closely what the actual figure is, and that's certainly their right. Absolutely. And that's nobody's business but theirs. As I said, you've got somebody trying to sell a book. Here's a ball that skips in there, played by Schneider, and the count is now full. Now Fred Wilpon has said that the $700 million figure is way too high, that it is short of that. He's quoted as saying that this is a franchise that he will someday, eventually this will stay in the family long enough to where his grandchildren will have control of the New York Mets, and that there is no pending sale because of the money lost. And fans are certainly not entitled to know what the total figure is that the Wilpons lost in the Madoff Ponzi scheme. But it's also not unreasonable for Mets fans to wonder how the payroll and the on-field product will be affected because of the losses suffered by that family. Here's a throw down to second on a strikeout. And the inning comes to a close. We'll have more on that here from Ken Rosenthal in the next half inning. We go into the 7th, 9-4. Cubs on top. A wash of Major League Baseball and what is, I think it's officially cool.
It is.
It's fall-like here at Wrigley Field, and the new pitcher is the former Met Aaron Heilman, who has had a so-so year. And he hits the outside corner with a strike to Angel Pagan, who's hitless in this game. Pagan has struck out, grounded out twice. 9-4, Cubs lead it, and a 94-mile-an-hour fastball sails high, 1 ball, 1 strike. And now the next, oh, what a catch by Ramirez, lunging to his left, and that keeps Pagan hitless on the afternoon.
Ramirez playing in for the bunt, hits it well. And Ramirez extending that left shoulder, and that's the shoulder that he had under ice in the clubhouse, thinking that today was an off day, but he has not only played, but played very well.
Taco Bell bringing the heat pitch velocity comparison between Parnell, who hit as high as 98, and Dempster, who was mid-90s, 94, his best reading. And both starters are gone. For Dempster, he went 6. He can only be the winner as he tries to get over the 500 mark, looking for his 8th victory against 7 losses. 6 innings, and he allowed 4 runs.
Aaron Heilman from nearby Logansport, Indiana, and he went to Notre Dame. And what a segue with Digger Phelps in the booth between innings.
Digger Phelps came in here, handed out pens, Sharpies with his signature on them. And Digger, who's terrific, really taken to this business, working at ESPN, will sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." That's off the pitcher's glove. Heilman right to Fontenot, 2 out. More on Luis Castillo. Here is Ken Rosenthal.
Joe, we talked about Milton Bradley earlier. Well, Luis Castillo was just as unpopular in New York last year as Bradley is in Chicago right now. Remember, he was coming off knee surgery, he had some personal issues, but he never made excuses. And at the end of the season, he met with his agents and said, "I do not want to be traded." He asked his agents to set up a meeting with the Mets, repeated the same thing, worked really hard, entered the day with a 400-plus on-base percentage, his highest since 2000.
And Kenny, we saw it. We were there on the 13th of June, the day after he dropped that pop-up at Yankee Stadium that was hit by Alex Rodriguez. And instead of a game-ending pop-up, game-over win for the Mets, he dropped what was a routine play. And the Yankees end up winning the ball game. He stood in front of the camera, stood in front of the writers, looked just sick about it, came back to the park the next day, faced the writers again. He just owned up to making a mistake, which happens. And since that next day, he's been one of the top hitters in the National League. So good for him. He's had a very good year. Daniel Murphy lines out to left. Fox makes the play. Time to stretch. Time for Digger to sing. 9-4. Powerful clean without dry skin is sponsored by Hyundai. Now Hyundai Assurance can even lower your price at the pump. And by Pepsi. Pepsi is the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. We are into the bottom of the seventh. By the way, Digger Phelps did a very good job with Take Me Out to the ball game during the break, and he is and this is a statistic given by Digger Phelps, the only non-Cub to sing it every year since Harry Carey passed away. Here's a ground ball to the right side, and Ramirez is retired 2 for 4 with Murphy feeding Broadway for the out. 11 years.
Oh, that's great. Digger's a great guy.
Digger knows how to have fun.
Yes, he does. Father-in-law of Jamie Moyer, who won again last night. I think that was victory number 12. The 47-year-old Moyer won for the Phillies last night.
He keeps following all these rain-shortened starts by Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, second one. But he came in and sucked up the win.
First pitch of ball. Now the next to Fukudome is fouled left side out of play. We were talking about, it seems ridiculous to talk about a Ponzi scheme in Bernie Madoff during the course of a baseball telecast, but how it directly affects the financial situation of the Wilpon family and then directly affects the product on the field for the New York Mets. Ken Rosenthal is with us. Ken, they're going to have a lot of payroll come off this team for the Mets going into 2010.
Joe, but as you mentioned, the question is, how much will they spend? They didn't spend a whole lot in the draft just recently. And even with the money that's coming off, Delgado and Wagner, a bunch of other free agents, more than a combined $40 million, they still have $88 million committed to 7 players, and they're still going to have a ton of holes to fill.
It's really interesting to look ahead, not just for the Mets team, but obviously for the Cubs as well, as Fukudome is on for a 1-out base hit. You look at the numbers for the 2010 contracts for the New York Mets, and you see the players that Ken Rosenthal was just talking about. Santana, Beltran at 18.5, Oliver Perez. I mean, they got nothing this season in a 3-year, $36 million deal year one. K-Rod, you've got a closer, but Putz, who was there, was injured. Here's a line drive into right field. Jake Fox can hit. That's into the corner. He's already hit a grand slam. Here comes Fukudome all the way around to the plate, and it's 10-4. Throw to third, too late.
One good thing from a hitting instructor's standpoint is when you hit a home run and then go the other way the next time up. Hitting instructors like that. Hitting coaches love that. That was so weird, though. When Jake Fox put that in play, it looked like he was looking up, like he didn't see the line drive hit down the right field line. It looked like he thought he hit a fly ball the other way. Weird on the swing.
It's rattled around in the corner. It's a double, by the way, and Fontenot, who's already been hit by a pitch, stands right on top of the plate, takes the ball up and in.
I don't think I've ever seen that. He looked up like he didn't see the line drive down the right field line. Obviously, he liked that better.
Fontenot flies one into left center field. Pagan is over to get it. Tagging at third is Fox. Throw to the plate is offline. Another run, 11-4. So all fun now for the Cubs, who trailed early, and Pepsi is the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. Congratulates Aramis Ramirez, today's MLB Clutch Performer of the game. A late addition to the lineup, a couple of 2-out RBI hits. Played a good third base. You can learn more about the MLB Clutch Performer of the Month award at PepsiClutch.com. Dempster in line for the win. Bottom of the 7th inning. It's 11-4 Cubs. And Coy Hill gets in on the fun. The Cubs are taking it to Lance Broadway. A 2-out hit, and that'll bring in Heilman. Started to say, you know, this is a roster for the Mets that'll be reshaped and money coming off, but holes to fill going into 2010. And you wonder where, we talked about it earlier, the Cubs will be with the Milton Bradley situation. They're in year 3 of a long, big dollar contract with Alfonso Soriano, who's playing with a bad left knee. Having that checked out today and Monday, according to the Cubs. They have a decision to make on Rich Harden, who's a free agent next year. Ted Lilly's contract is up after next season, and he's been a real dependable pitcher for this Chicago team. And Lou Piniella is signed through next year. It's the end of his deal. It's down and away, and the count 2-1 on Heilman.
Something for the new owner of the Chicago Cubs, Tom Ricketts, and the Ricketts family will have to determine come 2010.
Here is a fly ball shallow right. Easy for Frank Coor, and that'll do it for the Cubs, who get a couple more. And now we're having fun on a crisp Saturday here at Wrigley, up by 7. fantasy football with free live scoring, customizable leagues, and research tools. Log on to foxsports.com on MSN and join the next generation of fantasy football, and it is well worth your time. Full takes over out in left, so Jake Fox, he can rest, and well, he'll go to bed happy tonight. A grand slam, an RBI double, 2 runs scored. What a day. But check out fantasy football on foxsports.com. We did it, Tim, as our football group. We actually sat around a room and had a draft, and Aikman and our producer Richie Zients and our director Rich Russo, and right on down the line, and we'll just see who comes out on top at the end of the season.
You follow the teams on a week-to-week basis, also on the players.
Here's a shot into left field. Fold is back to get it. That paid off. Good running catch by Sam Fold. Francoeur retired 2 for 4.
Talking to Lou Piniella before the game, he said Sam Fold is going to be a good 4th, 5th outfielder. It's a great read on the ball, does the former Stanford grad.
You're right about tracking your team throughout the course of the year. You play games against your players, against other people in your group's players. They also have new games that they've developed at foxsports.com, and a way to get in even on a minute-by-minute basis on a Sunday in the NFL, or play just for the day as opposed to having a team that gets rocked early in the season and then you're really uninterested the rest of the way. Here's a comebacker. Heilman's doing his job. 5 faced, 5 retired, and we go down to Chris Rose.
I think the Mets are getting ready for their fantasy football draft, Joe and Tim. It's going to be on Monday night. Jeff Francoeur very excited, as you said earlier. He's a big fantasy football player. David Wright is as well. Daniel Murphy is officially on the clock right now. No truth to the rumor he is thinking of drafting a doctor or a trainer with the first overall pick.
Here you go. Here are Jeff Francoeur's tips. Don't draft a quarterback in the first 3 rounds.
Why is that?
I don't know.
It's a running back heavy league, guys.
Here's a line drive into left, and Fuld makes the play on a bounce, and Tatis is on with 2 out. I did in our draft. I got Tom Brady with my first pick. That would seem to me to be a good play.
What, are you nuts, Joe? You could have had him in like the 3rd or 4th round.
Oh yeah, right. Sure. Have 2 running backs and a wide receiver by the 4th round. Did that. Top 3 picks. Adrian Peterson. I think he went first overall in our league. Michael Turner of the Falcons, and Maurice Jones-Drew, who pounds it in for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He gets the ball a lot.
Who's your running back, Joe?
Marion Barber.
All right.
You like that?
Yeah. Any guy that's going to split time with Felix Jones, to me, he could lose some big runs. I love him as a player, though.
Where was Brett Favre in the trade?
He was way down the list.
Was he?
Yeah. I think one of the guys on our crew who wasn't from Green Bay selected Brett Favre. Mike Steve Pack on our crew, who's from Green Bay, wanted no part. 1 on, 2 out. The batter is Schneider, who's 2 for 3. And fouls it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. NFL season begins on Sunday, September 13th, at least as far as Fox is concerned, and it's a doubleheader day on Fox. Good matchups. Cowboys and Bucks, Vikings and Brett Favre at the Browns. And then late, Troy and I will be at the Meadowlands Giant Stadium for the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants, or other regional matchups. The ball is up and away, and it begins America's #1 pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start times in your area. 2-2 from Heilman to Schneider. 1 on, 2 out. A weak swing and a miss by Schneider. 2 scoreless innings turned in by Heilman. He may get another inning under his belt before we're finished. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Cubs batting on their way to a victory here today as they lead it by 7. League Baseball road trips. By EAS, don't waste your workout, finish it. EAS Myoplex. And by Olive Garden, when you're here, your family. Bottom of the 8th inning, top of the order, and again, Terrio will lead it off. He was out stealing at the back end of a strike him out, throw him out double play in the 6th. He's 2 for 4 today, and he takes a strike from Lance Broadway. It'll be Terrio, Bradley, and Lee. Before the fans here at Wrigley are let loose on the streets of Chicago. Plenty of fun to be had.
What a city.
That's up and away, ball 1. A swing and a miss and a strikeout to start the bottom of the 8th inning. Time for the Just for Men hair colored Cubs all-time holds leaders from this season. As far as all-time Cubs holds leaders, you've got Marmol, Farnsworth, Paul Ossenmacher, and Bobby Howry. Just as those players kept their team in the game, you too can stay in the game with Just for Men hair color as Sean Marshall gets loose. Strike 1 on Milton Bradley. Broadway took over in the 6th. Gave up a hit, gave up 2 runs in the 7th, and has 1 out here in the 8th. Tailing pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bradley is 3 for 4. Broadway struck him out on a similar pitch back in the 6th inning. That one floats. 2-1. That's down and away. 3-1 from Lance Broadway. On deck is Derek Lee. And a swinging strike, full count, 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Mets have had to add so many players to their roster because of the injuries. They have a supplemental bio packet that they hand out. They should just reprint their media. That's ball 4 in the dirt. Gets away. Schneider chases it down. And Bradley is on with a 1-out walk. Game-changing play brought to you by Holiday Inn. Signs of change are everywhere. And that's what a grand slam looks like. Hit in a 6-run 5th inning. Curtain call later, an RBI double and a run scored. A big day for the rookie Jake Fox. Would we pick him if his name was Jake ESPN? I don't know.
Jake Espen. No.
Here's a ball up and in. Derek Lee is hitless through all this. 11 runs. 14 Cub hits. One of their hottest hitters, Derek Lee, is 0 for 4.
Kidding about the supplementary bio. The Mets with their 100th different lineup today. 100. And we have what, 32 left after today? 11 starting pitchers, 3 catchers, 5 different first basemen, 6 different second basemen, 7 different shortstops. It's unbelievable.
1 partridge in a pear tree.
Only two third basemen. Look at it. Look at the outfielders now. 8 left fielders, 6 center fielders, and 8 right fielders.
3 Giesa Lane.
I've never seen anything like it.
No, and just the power of the names that are on that list. They were hanging around, but you can't overcome it. I don't care.
No way.
Not in today's game, not with a payroll that was already out there, not with, I mean, there's no system that can handle Bad rash of injuries to those players. Sheffield's out with back spasms. Not even just the players who are out on the disabled list, it's the day-to-day stuff as well that factors in. And Jerry Manuel has to figure out who can play on a daily basis to put in those 100 different lineups. Former manager of the year on the South Side with the White Sox back in 2000. That's low, full count. The 3-2 pitch is fouled away as Derek Lee fought it off. Tampa Bay and Detroit and the Rays are throwing a shutout, leading 2-0 in the 8th inning. Yankees beat up on the White Sox 10-zip. Won last night on a Robinson Cano extra inning home run.
That's David Price, who had that start for Tampa Bay. Looks like his best outing of the year.
Yeah, and he's doing it on the road. He's been very good at home this season. Struggled on the road and pitched well at Detroit. Here is a 3-2 again and a ground ball up the middle. Nice flip for one on to first. 6-4-3 from Hernandez to Castillo and on to Murphy. We go to the 9th inning at Wrigley. Mets will bat their last chance down by 7. Strikeouts, 2 walks, a wild pitch. Heilman, 2 good innings, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Now Marshall. Switch hitting Anderson Hernandez first up, 2 out of 3. He will be followed by a pinch hitter as Nick Evans is in the on deck circle. And then Pagan. Strike 1. Marshall can do a little bit of everything for this Cubs staff. Start, relieve, middle relief, set up. 0-1 pitch. Outside, a ball and a strike. The next from Marshall, up and away. K-Rod is getting loose just to get loose. Something to do. Fontenot takes care of out number 1. This season, stay connected to MLB on Fox by following us on Twitter. Go to twitter.com/MLB on Fox. And Fox Sports is now on both MySpace and Facebook. Get breaking news, notes, video clips, and more. Just go to myspace.com/Fox Sports or facebook.com/Fox Sports and join the community. Nick Evans is at the plate. Good breaking ball from Marshall, strike 1. The numbers for Evans in 18 games, a home run, 6 RBIs. The Mets are on their way to losing their 14th game in the last 19 they've played here. Broken bat, that's on a couple of hops to Ramirez with a backhand. Same for Lee on the other end, scoops it out, 2 away.
Joe, Angel Pagan is coming up, and I haven't made a mental note of this. Angel Pagan has career highs this year in 5 different categories. And if that doesn't put a caption on this game and the Mets season, Angel Pagan with career highs in 5 categories, and he's the Mets' 5th outfielder. Now, when your 5th outfielder has career highs in 5 different categories, that gives you an idea about what your regular outfielders have done all year.
Yeah, we're not even here.
No, not even here.
Their best, Carlos Beltran, out since the end of June with a deep bone bruise in his knee that's expanding. Can run around a little bit, some baseball activity, but can't change direction when he runs. That should be it. Pagan out. Cubs win it 11-4 here on a Saturday at Wrigley.
We're not through yet, though. We still have Go Cubs Go.
Well, that's right.
Yeah?
Forgot about that. There you go. Take a break, come back, and wrap up our day. Dempster over Parnell.